What is fulfillment, and are you fulfilled? In this session, we are going to discuss what is fulfillment, are you fulfilled, and we're going to look at the factors that contribute to your fulfillment. So, question for you. When you woke up this morning, how did you feel about the day ahead? How did you feel about being you? And how did you feel about your life in general? Was it excited and inspired and full of creativity? Or when you woke up this morning, did you think, oh, and feel bored by the idea of another day, and perhaps even full of dread? Another question for you. When you think back to today, or yesterday if you're watching this in the morning, did you find your day nourishing and rewarding? All of it? Some of it? Any of it? And critically, can you pinpoint why you felt the way that you did? And there are no right or wrong answers here. I'm not going to hear what you say. No one's judging you. So do please feel that you can be honest. Now, what is fulfillment? So a lot of people think that fulfillment is the same as happiness, but in actual fact, that's not the case at all. Fulfillment is much deeper. It's a much broader feeling than happiness. Often we talk about happiness in quite glib terms, or it can be quite superficial. Oh, well, I've just had a really nice meal, or I've just bought a new bag, and it's made me really happy. But contentment is something, or fulfillment rather, is much more of a deeper sense of contentment. It's like an inner peace, a belief that life is sort of as it should be, and this feeling then it combines your head and your heart, and also, if you believe in this sort of thing, sort of your soul or your spirit. So it's all encompassing. And when I think about fulfillment, the first thing that springs to mind is the very famous book that was written by Viktor Frankl, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And he wrote it when he was in Auschwitz POW camp during the Second World War. And he, as a psychiatrist, he was interested in sort of the psychological faculties that people had that helped them to withstand the awful experiences that they were going through. And what he realised then was that people who coped best with being in the camp were people who had this sense of meaning to their life, and this involved then feeling that their lives had purpose beyond themselves. And I think this is a really interesting way of looking at fulfillment. And it suggests that fulfillment, or a fulfilled life, is one which affects others beneficially. And it is one where we feel nourished by our life and inspired and excited. Hence the question that I asked you at the beginning of the video. Now, let's have a look at a case study. So this is Andrea, and in case you're worried about if this is a real person, it's not. She's someone that I've made up simply for the purposes of exploring how some of these ideas can play out. So Andrea then has had the same part-time job for many years, and it's one that she finds really easy, but she finds wholly unfulfilling. And her husband is retired, and he's often out golfing with his buddies, and he's constantly encouraging her to give up her job and sort of, join him as a retired person. Now, Andrea and her husband are empty nesters, so their children have just recently left home, and the last one's gone to university. And the key thing for Andrea then is that her life is materially extremely comfortable, but doing her part-time job and going to the gym and having lunch with her friends and going shopping, she feels that she just finds it very unstimulating. She feels empty, and she finds her life sort of shallow and flat. Now let's look at Peter. So also a made-up person. So Peter had sadly a car accident, and so overnight he lost his career, his social life, the sport. He was a lover of team sports. He lost his freedom, his routines, and what he told his friends then was that he didn't know who he was, and basically his life had lost all its meaning. He wasn't able to do any of the things that he loved, and it just didn't, everything felt completely meaningless. And he unfortunately then developed depression and overeating. And finally, let's look at Joanne, also a made up person for the purposes of this video. And so Joanne has recently left a controlling partner, and she is divorced, and she has one child at school. She doesn't have a career because she wasn't allowed to work, and she doesn't have a job for the same reason. And the thing that bothers Joanne more than anything now is that she believes that she has nothing to offer. Now, as you'll see from these examples then, of all three people felt really unfulfilled by their life. And they were faced with the choice of whether to stay the same, whether to put up with their life as it is, or whether to make changes. And the challenge here then is, how do you weigh up the risks of making changes, the costs if they go wrong or you can't cope with them, and the challenges that they may bring, against the potential benefit. So what you hope to gain, but you don't know. You might not. You don't know how things might work out. So let's now turn the focus onto you, and let's look at what you feel fulfilled by and what you might need to change. And then also, crucially, we're going to have a look at what you can do to make those changes. Now, the reason why I asked you those questions at the start of the video is because the best way to establish whether you feel fulfilled or not is to ask yourself those two key questions. How did you feel when you woke up this morning? And which parts of today or yesterday nourished your mind and your heart and your spirit, if you believe in the third of those. So I'm going to just run through some areas with you, and you'll see them on the video. So at this stage, we're just looking for a broad overview. If you want to rate them on a scale of, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 for, how much they nourish you, then, by all means go ahead. But at this stage, let's just think about whether these things nourish you, yes or no. So number 1, your daily routine. 2, your work. 3, your family. 4, your partner. 5, other relationships and friendships. 6, hobbies and interests. 7, exercise. 8, your home. 9, your community. And 10, your pets. Now, let me just say very importantly that, it may be that some of those things don't exist for you. They don't all for me. They don't all for lots of people. So, if you don't have, you're not in touch with your family, or you don't have a paid job, or, you don't have a pet, they're not things that are essential to fulfillment at all. They're just potentially things that can be, and they are things that some people have in their lives. So don't worry if some of these things don't exist for you. Okay, so it's just a question of yes or no for all of those things. Now, of those things that you said no to, then what I would like you to do is to pick 2 that you would like to be more fulfilling. So again, we're going through daily routine, work, family, partner, friendships, hobbies and interests, exercise, home, community, and pets. Pick 2 of those that you would like to be more fulfilling. And in the next session, then, we're going to be looking at how getting clear about our values shows us where fulfillment lies for us, and also how to create goals which align clearly with our core values.